The floor is still cool. Your eyes are awake but not fully convinced. Your joints are a little quiet. Your mind is still coming into focus. And somewhere between that first breath and the first sip of coffee, your body is already making decisions about what kind of day this will be. Not emotionally, biologically. And if you step outside and walk for just 10 minutes in that strange, soft window after waking, something begins to happen that most people never hear this part about. Your muscles start speaking. Your brain starts timing. Your blood vessels loosen almost like they were waiting for a password. And in a few minutes, I'm going to show you why those first footsteps can send a message a later workout often doesn't send in the same way. Stay with me, because this is rarely explained. We're taught to think exercise is mostly about effort, sweat, calories, endurance, discipline. But your body doesn't only care how hard you move. It cares when you move. And sometimes 10 quiet minutes, placed in the right biological moment, can do something surprisingly powerful. Have you ever noticed that on the rare morning when you walk early, the whole day feels just a little more organized inside you, even if you can't explain why? If you enjoy discovering the quiet science your body is running right now, subscribe. And if something in what I just said resonated with you, tap the like button. It helps more people find this. Under the surface of what you feel, several systems are waking up together. Your circadian system, your 24-hour timing network, is beginning its morning shift. Your metabolic system is deciding how ready your cells are to use fuel. Your cardiovascular system is adjusting pressure, flow, and pulse as you move from lying down to standing up to walking forward. None of this asks for your attention. It just begins. That silence is part of what makes it so remarkable. Your body is less like a machine that waits for orders and more like a house with a beautifully sensitive thermostat. Before the rooms feel too warm or too cool, the thermostat is already noticing the change and adjusting the system. A short walk after waking is like touching that thermostat at exactly the right time. Not roughly, not dramatically, just enough to tell the house, daytime has started. Organize accordingly. Most people overlook this because the effects are subtle at first. You don't usually feel your cells becoming more willing to accept glucose. You don't feel blood vessels relaxing a little more easily. You don't feel your internal clocks shifting the day's rhythm. But the body notices these things immediately. You might not feel this directly, but your body registered it within the first few seconds. There's also a cultural reason we miss it. We tend to worship the dramatic workout and ignore the well-timed one. The 1-hour gym session looks impressive. It feels official. It has a beginning, a middle, an end. A 10-minute morning walk can look almost too ordinary to matter. But biology has never been especially interested in looking impressive. The real question isn't only, how much exercise did you do today? Sometimes the more interesting question is, what message did your movement send? And when did your body hear it? A short morning walk can send several messages at once. First, it tells your muscles to begin using energy now, not later. Second, it gives your heart and blood vessels a gentle rehearsal for the day ahead. Third, if you walk outside, it pairs movement with morning light, and that combination is one of the clearest ways to tell your internal clock that the day has truly begun. And here is where things get truly interesting. Morning movement doesn't just wake up the body. It helps place the body in time. It nudges the internal rhythm forward. It says very clearly, we are beginning now. That may sound small, but inside the body, small timing shifts can influence when you feel alert, when you feel sleepy, how steady your energy feels, and how well your inner schedule matches the life you're actually trying to live. So when people say, "How could 10 minutes of walking possibly compete with an hour in the gym?" The answer is, it depends on what competition we're talking about. If the goal is maximum strength, no, a short walk is not replacing resistance training. If the goal is athletic conditioning, also no. But if the goal is to send an early day signal into the systems that control alertness, blood sugar handling, circulation, and internal timing, then those first 10 minutes can be astonishingly efficient. One of the reasons is that the body is already in transition when you wake. Hormones are shifting, temperature is rising, blood pressure is adjusting, brain chemistry is moving from nighttime repair toward daytime readiness. So when movement arrives right then, it doesn't act like a random event dropped into the day. It acts like a cue that lands in a doorway. And cues that land in doorways can change the whole room. Here's a simple way to feel it. Think about two identical notes played on a piano. One is struck in the middle of noise. The other is struck in a quiet room just before the music begins. Same note, different impact. A morning walk works like that. It is small, yes, but it lands in biological quiet, which makes it louder to the systems listening. Your body is not dismissing small efforts, it is translating them. A short walk tells your nervous system that the body is upright and active. It tells your muscles to prepare for fuel use. It tells your blood vessels to open a little wider. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you the second signal hiding inside that morning walk, one that enters through your eyes, not your legs, and quietly helps set the rhythm for everything that follows. At first, the change is mechanical. You stand. Your calf muscles contract. The muscles in your thighs and hips begin repeating one of the oldest patterns your nervous system knows. Step, catch, shift, repeat. That seems simple from the outside. Inside, it is a full-body announcement. Each contraction acts like a request for fuel. Your muscle cells begin pulling in more glucose, the simple sugar circulating in your blood, because moving tissue is metabolically expensive tissue. Blood flow increases, small vessels widen. The heart adjusts to a new pattern of demand, not panicked, not strained, just attentive. If you've ever felt that mild sense of waking up from the knees upward after a short walk, this is exactly why. That feeling isn't random. Your body engineered it. Within moments, another shift begins, and this one is less obvious. Your brain starts comparing signals: light level, movement, temperature, posture. These are all clues about time. To you, it feels like morning. To your brain, it is evidence. That matters because the body does not keep time in only one place. There is a master clock in the brain, but there are also local clocks in tissues throughout the body, in the liver, muscles, fat, and more. They are like neighborhood clocks in a city. They don't need to strike loudly to stay coordinated, but they do need regular cues. Morning movement is one of those cues, and when it arrives consistently, the message becomes easier to trust. This is where many people expect the explanation to turn into calories. But hold on to that thought, because calories are only part of the story, and not the most surprising part. Soon after you begin walking, the protective intelligence of the body becomes easier to see. Your muscles become more insulin sensitive, meaning they become more willing to respond when insulin knocks on the door and says, "We have fuel to store or use." That is not your body being efficient only for exercise. It is your body preparing for breakfast, for work, for errands, for stress, for the ordinary tasks of being alive. It is preparing ahead of time. You may not have eaten yet, and still your body is getting ready to handle food more gracefully when it arrives. That's one reason timing matters so much. The walk is not merely burning what you already have. It is changing how ready you are for what comes next. If you've ever noticed that breakfast feels different after you've moved, lighter, steadier, less heavy somehow, your body may already be adjusting the way it handles that incoming energy. Here's the pattern interrupt. A 10-minute walk is not small if it lands at the right moment. Now let's zoom in even closer. Quietly, your liver is listening. Most people think of exercise as something the muscles do for themselves. But your liver, the organ that stores and releases fuel, filters substances, and helps stabilize your internal chemistry, responds too. When you move after waking, your liver receives a different metabolic context. The body is saying, "We are not asleep, we are not sitting, we are not waiting. We are entering the day in motion." That message changes decisions. The body may reduce how urgently it needs to push fuel into the bloodstream. It may coordinate glucose availability differently. It may begin the day with a slightly more flexible conversation between muscles, liver, pancreas, and brain. Not perfectly, not dramatically, but meaningfully. And because this happens in layers, not all at once, most people miss it. Over time, the adaptation deepens. Repeated morning walks don't just produce one-off effects. They teach the system a pattern. The brain learns when alertness is needed. The muscles become familiar with early use. The cardiovascular system rehearses a smooth morning transition. The circadian system receives the same environmental sentence again and again. Light, movement, upright posture, daytime. That repetition is powerful, not because the body is rigid, because it is trainable. The walk you take after waking may partly influence the night you have much later, not by magic, by timing. Let me give you the friendly version. Imagine your body as a post office early in the morning. The lights are coming on, sorters are arriving, trucks are backing into the loading bay. Messages have to go to the right neighborhoods. Wakefulness to the brain, fuel instructions to the liver, vessel adjustments to the circulation, movement readiness to the muscles. A short morning walk is like sending the first clean batch of mail through the system before the building gets crowded. Everything gets stamped earlier, routed earlier, sorted with less confusion. That's exactly what your body is doing, quietly, continuously. But there's one part of the mail route we still haven't opened, because the most surprising signal in this whole process doesn't begin in your legs. It begins when morning light reaches your eyes during that walk. And what that does next changes how the rest of the day is timed. As days pass, this is where the effects become less dramatic to feel, but more important biologically. Morning light helps anchor the brain's master clock. Morning movement reinforces the message. Together, they tell the body not just that you are active, but that you are active at the appropriate time. That appropriate time matters in ways most people never hear described. So if you've ever wondered why a hard evening workout can leave you energized, but a soft morning walk can leave you somehow more settled, more aligned, more like yourself, this is part of the reason. One is asking the body to perform, the other is helping the body orient. And in a few minutes, we're going to look at why scientists used to think the benefit here was mostly about calories burned, and why newer research has changed that picture so much that the title of this video starts to make a different kind of sense. What scientists used to believe, or at least what most people were taught to believe, was fairly simple. Exercise helps because it burns energy, strengthens the heart, and if done often enough, changes body composition. None of that was wrong. It was just incomplete. Because newer science has revealed something more subtle. Exercise is not only an energy event, it is an information event. That changes how we see the body. When you move, especially at specific times, your body is not simply spending calories. It is exchanging messages between systems. It is adjusting sensitivity, timing, circulation, and expectation. This is one reason a short, well-timed bout can sometimes produce effects that feel larger than its size. And this is where the first mystery closes. Why can 10 minutes after waking sometimes feel more powerful than an hour at the gym? Not because 10 minutes is better exercise in every possible way. It isn't. But because in the specific domains of circadian signaling, early day metabolic readiness, and the transition from sleep biology to daytime biology, those first minutes after waking are a uniquely valuable window. A message sent then can shape the hours that follow in a way a later workout may not fully reproduce. And here's the second answer. That hidden signal entering through your eyes is morning light. When light reaches the eyes early in the day, it helps anchor the brain's master clock. When that light arrives while you are also walking, breathing, and increasing circulation, the body receives a richer, "it is daytime now" signal. Now let's close the next loop. Why does the liver matter so much here? Because the liver helps decide how fuel is stored, released, and stabilized. A short walk after waking changes the context in which those decisions are made. Instead of beginning the day in complete stillness, the body begins with movement. That can improve the conversation between muscles, insulin, and circulating glucose. This is why short bouts of movement can matter so much. Your body doesn't only respond to volume, it responds to placement, it responds to timing, it responds to being interrupted out of stillness at just the right moment. And that closes another thread. Scientists once emphasized the size of the workout. Newer research keeps pointing toward the placement of the workout too. Not instead of effort, but alongside it. The body pays attention to distribution and timing in ways we are still learning to appreciate. So the title of this video is really making a more careful point than it first appears to make. 10 minutes of walking after waking up can be more powerful than an hour at the gym for setting the tone of the day's biology. For telling the clock what time it is. For nudging blood sugar handling in a friendlier direction. For helping your cardiovascular system transition smoothly. For pairing light, motion, and posture into one clean morning signal. That is a different kind of power, a quieter one. And maybe, for many people who feel like their body has become harder to read, a more useful one too. Now let's close the final loop. Why is 10 minutes often enough to start this process? Because your body responds to cues quickly. It does not need an hour to notice that you have stood up, stepped outside, increased blood flow, contracted large muscles, breathed cooler air, and exposed your eyes to morning light. The body is exquisitely sensitive to beginnings. 10 minutes is often enough to mark the morning, enough to stamp the first message, enough to say, gently but clearly, "We are awake now." That does not mean more is pointless. It means small does not mean insignificant. For most people, this process works beautifully. But if you have diabetes, heart rhythm concerns, balance problems, severe joint pain, very low blood pressure, or take medications that can make exercise or fasting mornings feel different, it's worth having a conversation with your doctor before pushing this further. Not because something is wrong, but because your body may need a slightly different approach. And I think there's something deeply comforting in that. Your body has not been waiting for perfect motivation. It has been waiting for clear signals. That is such a different relationship to health. Not punishment, not performance, not trying to overpower yourself, just learning the language your body already speaks. So here's the real journey we took today. We started with a simple image: tired eyes, cool floor, early steps. Then we followed those steps inward and found something hidden. That movement after waking doesn't just count as exercise. It helps organize the day. It helps your muscles listen. It helps your liver prepare. It helps your circulation wake smoothly. It helps your internal clocks agree on what time it is. And once you understand that, the morning walk stops looking small. It starts looking precise. Your body has been running this system your entire life. Small, consistent actions compound into changes that science can now measure. What you do today, your biology will remember. You are not fighting your body. You are learning to work with it. So if tomorrow morning you wake up and the day already feels crowded, remember this: you may not need to win the whole day before breakfast. You may only need to give your body 10 clear minutes that tell it how to begin. And sometimes, that beginning changes more than effort ever could. What surprised you most today? Have you felt this happening inside you without knowing what it was? Which part of this process made you see your body differently? If you want to keep understanding what's quietly happening inside your own body, subscribe. There's so much more to discover together. In the next video, we're going to look at something even more surprising. Something happening inside you right now that most people mistake for a problem. But it's actually your body doing something remarkable.